Everybody, welcome back to Manga Weekly, the series where every week I talk about manga and manga that I have been reading. And this week I'm covering something that I was genuinely surprised about how really good it is. The series is called On My Way to Meet My to Meet My Mom, which it's like the what's this name of the title of the story tells you what the story is about, which if you watched a lot of isekais, then you kind of know what. Yeah. Anyway, I found this manual the way I really just find all the the stuff I talk about on this channel right now. Basically I'm scrolling through TikTok around like 12 a.m., 2 a.m., and I see some edits about like a certain certain manga. Like I see that how I enjoy the art style. Maybe they showing some cool panels, and I'm thinking to myself, looks interesting, and I check it out. And sometimes they're good, sometimes they turn out to be flops, sometimes they just turn out to be okay. But this oh boy, this was amazing, to be honest. From the first chapter to everything that I'm currently reading right now, this is amazing. It has 22 chapters out right now. I'm reading it on Webtoon, so if you want to know where to find it, you can find it on Webtoon. But this is genuinely a great manhwa. Anyway, now let's talk about the setup. Let's talk about the story itself. And before I continue, I just want to say this panel. I don't know why, but like I love the panel. Like the lighting, the shading, everything about it. It's just beautiful. Anyway, let's get into the setup. The story opens with a young boy named Mori, who's this guy who was kind of like being discovered by like a rescue team inside like an abandoned building. Like, which kind of raises another question, like why is he in an abandoned building, what's happening right now. you know After he was found in that abandoned building, he kind of tried to escape. He was acting animalistic in a way because you know he's a kid in an abandoned building, which my first thought when I was reading this was like maybe he was raised by wolves, like animals, like I don't know, because if you look at this one, the fangs, everything, the eyes, that's like an animal. Like maybe yeah, and the scratches kind of looked like he was being beaten. But anyway, anyway, after being rescued, he's brought to a children's protection center, and from here, from the moment he enters, his entire world just begins to change. To be honest, Mori is immediately one of like the most charming protagonists I've ever read across in a while, because I would die for this guy. I would for the kid, but like I would slap a guy for this kid. To be honest, that's how precious he is to me. Like he's intensely curious about like everything around him, but because of his past, unfamiliar things can also frighten him deeply. That combination with like the innocent and playful moments that we have in like the chapters in Alone generally makes him feel like a real child rather than a plot device. You kind of care about him immediately because the premise alone, if you think about it, this premise would, wouldn't work because most people, I think, if other people try to create a story like this, they wouldn't let that the boy is a child, and they'll kind of write him as an adult, but like not as a child. But in this story, it's portrayed as a child. Even the quirks that he does, everything about him, he's a child. It's an unfamiliar environment. Of course, he will be scared of unfamiliar things. Like I said, I think he was raised in a was he sometimes acts animalistic, but it's not all the time. He's he's just the perfect person to be around. But as time, goes on at the protection center, he's just adjusting to people having people around him who actually, take care of him, because like again, we saw in like the beginning chapters, it looked like he was, he was no, it was in an abandoned warehouse. He had scratches and bruises all over, but now he has a somewhat family. No, he has a family that he can, talk to, care, which they care about him, and and he cares about them. He was in this chapter. He also starts kind of receiving mysterious packages from a certain benefactor. I don't know what that bit. Like I don't want to spoil things. I'm already spoiling the first chapter, but if you're giving a review of something, of course you gotta talk about the first chapter. Anyway, this just kind of adds like a bit of intrigue, to like the story as well. Like, it gets you curious about like what's really happening with him. What's he about? Anyway, I would say the turning point, that kind of sets the whole story in motion is really is somewhat devastating. Maurice closest friend at the center gets, reunited with her mother, and watching it happen, Maury realizes that, you know, he kind of realizes something that should have been obvious but really wasn't. Like, every child is supposed to have a mother. You're supposed to have a parent, even though you don't know them. Of course, you have them. He didn't really know. Like, the only thing connection he knows about the mother is from his close friend talking about how her mother was coming one day to pick him up. But like, he didn't realize when she came, when that time came, she would actually leave him. And that kind of hurt. I was a bit sad when I was reading. I was like, ah, god damn it, she's going. Anyway, seeing his friend live with someone who loves her and kind of makes Mori understand that there's someone missing from his life, and from that moment, the central goal of the entire story is established. Mori wants to find his mom. It's even in the title itself. On my way to meet my mom. Well, going to meet his mom. It's such a special premise, and it kind of hits harder than almost anything a more set up. Sorry, it hits harder than almost anything a more complicated setup could have ever developed. Like, it like this story, like I didn't say it, but like, this story isn't complicated. From the title, from everything, from the first chapter, you know that the main premise of the story is more going to meet his mother. But like, you have these emotional moments in the chapters itself that makes you just want it, just makes you really really happy about it. That's it just has also moments. Anyway, what kind of starts as a story about a child searching for his mother gradually opens into something much bigger. The series blends adventure, comedy, drama, and science fiction. I skipped over the science fiction part because if you're planning on reading it, then you probably should get more lower accurate. Because if I told you, I'll probably spoil a couple of things. That's why I decided to even skip it. Anyway, in a way, the story kind of feels, you know, with everything. Like I said, I said it's filled with like adventure, comedy, science fiction, drama, and fantasy. But like, it blends in a natural way rather than feeling cluttered, because you have many stories who try to like blend, drama and comedy, but the comedy kind of falls flat, or the drama isn't that compelling. You have the funny moments, but the drama isn't really compelling. But like, this, it has it all. We have the Mori moments, which to me are the best moments in the entire chapters. I really just love the guy, and we have such emotional moments, like when one of Mori's closest friends was leaving for the watch this, and Mori realizing that he also wants a brother, so he sets off to find his mother. Like, it was not like that boohoo I'm crying, but like, it was such an emotional moment to the point where I was realizing like, wow, this really is peak. And there's a certain, like, I don't want to spoil, but like, there's a certain part in the chapter where I literally just cried. I was bawling my eyes out. And I won't spoil it, and I won't even say the chapter title, because there was a point in time where like someone told me like, what's this, a show is when someone tells you that a show, the best part of the show is this episode, that makes you kind of hyped up for that episode, but when it comes back, the high expectations you set up don't meet it. So I wouldn't even say the chapter name. So when you guys just find it, you kind of understand what I mean by it. Anyway, the further you get into the series, the better it just becomes. Every chapter just adds something to the world, to Mori's character, to the mysteries surrounding like his past, the people connected to him. Like I said, as you keep reading, you probably know more, because I skimmed a lot of things. I just talked about the main points that I think are the main points to make you understand what the series is about. Anyway, the community reaction, to the series constantly comes back with like two main things, like how impossibly, lovable Mori is, and I'm all for that, and how emotional the story lands when it wants to. Like, both of these are really true statements, because I love Mori, and like, when the emotional moment just come, you just start bawling your eyes out. Like, I'm gonna be frank with you guys. I don't really cry to, like, I can cry to an anime, and anime scene, I can cry to it because it has the music playing in the background, the voice acting, everything when it blends together. you just feel emotional. But when it comes to a manga, yeah, I feel sad, but I never really cry because that emotional tone isn't really sad for me. But with this, it was just sad. I was like, God damn, freak these guys. Why are they doing this so much? I was like, God damn. I was genuinely sad. Anyway, let's talk about my final thoughts right now. On My Way to Meet My Mother is one of those series that kind of sneaks up on you. It snuck up on me. You kind of you kind of pick it up expecting something sweet and simple, and kind of it delivers that, and then quickly becomes something much more richer. Like it is a slice of life. It has slice of life moment, but like when those emotional moments come up to you, you just don't even feel. You just feel it. You just feel it. Like I keep saying, Mori is one of the best protagonists I've read in recent memories, and his journey is really weird every chapter. And if I had to give this manual a rating, it's a 10 out of 10. No notes, you just have to read it. Like everything about it is it's just good. Anyway, you guys should make sure to drop your manga and manual recommendations in the comments. I'm always looking for something new to read because I read a lot, but not most of the things I read do get a manga weekly. I read a lot of stuff, but for the manga weekly, I'm trying to pick out like hidden gems that people, not many people kind of know about, or that really should be talked about more. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. I'm Hunter, and I'll see you next Monday. Capiche?